I'm ready when you are.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today at City Council. Clerk, please call the roll. It's 5:02.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan will be absent this evening. I expect Councilmember Dickinson and Pleckibom momentarily. Councilmember Maple.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Vang.
Here.
I expect Mayor McCarty momentarily and Vice Mayor Talamantes.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Wonderful. Councilmember Maple, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and land it
Certainly. Please stand if you are able. Please rise for the opening acknowledgments in honor of Sacramento's indigenous peoples and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin Wintun peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contribution, and lives. Remain standing, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Interim City Attorney Gustavo Limon Martinez, you got your new placard. Welcome to the
Thank you.
dais. Do we have a report out?
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. During closed session, the City Council unanimously appointed Jody Johnson as the Acting Director of the Office of Public Safety Accountability, effective immediately. Councilmember Kaplan was absent.
Yay, congratulations to him. Next up, we have two separate resolutions. We're going to start off with Hindu American Awareness Appreciation Month. So I'm honored to join my colleagues in recognizing October as Hindu Heritage and Awareness Month in the city of Sacramento. This month, we celebrate the Hindu American community whose faith, traditions, and contributions strengthen our community. Sacramento takes great pride in being diverse and an inclusive city. The Hindu community embodies values of knowledge, compassion, service, and unity, which continue to uplift our neighborhood and enrich our civic lives. On behalf of the City Council, we're so excited to designate October 2025 as Hindu Heritage and Awareness Month, and I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Councilmember Vang.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you so much. It's an honor to join Vice Mayor Talamantes and my colleagues, to recognize Hindu American awareness. I think at a time when so many of our communities of color are under attack across this country, it is our duty as public servants to make sure that we not only stand in solidarity, but to use this moment to pause and really center and uplift all of our diverse communities. And so just proud to join Vice Mayor Talamantes again to honor what makes our community beautiful and strong, and that's the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I also want to, thank you for introducing this. I've had the opportunity to introduce it in years past, and it's just a great recognition of how much the community have been educators, fought in our armed forces, our business leaders, civic leaders, and in ensuring that we are all representing each other here as well and uplifting the community. Very excited about it, and again, thank you for being here, and a big round of applause for all the community members who came out today.
And to receive this presentation is Sandeep Sheth. Welcome to the podium.
A very good evening to Honorable Vice Mayor, esteemed council members, distinguished guests, and friends. On behalf of the Hindu community and dharmic organizations of the Greater Sacramento, I would like to express my profound and sincere gratitude for officially recognizing October as Hindu American Awareness and Appreciation Month. This proclamation is a meaningful acknowledgement of the contribution of many Hindu Americans in many walks of the life, playing an important part in making Sacramento a culturally diverse, vibrant, and thriving city. This recognition arrives at an opportune time, a special time, when we gather over here to celebrate Diwali, the festival of lights. Diwali is not just a time when we illuminate our homes. This is a time where we illuminate ourselves and our community in ensuring that values of compassion, truth, and selfless service are preserved. So this spirit of Diwali is captured perfectly in this timeless verse of ancient Upanishads. Om Asto Ma Sadagamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityu Ma Amrutam Gramaya. This is an universal prayer which means lead us from ignorance to knowledge and wisdom, from darkness to light. It is a powerful call for triumph of hope over despair and for triumph of good over evil. This prayer goes hand in hand with our core principle of our dharma, which is our way of life, which is the principle is seva or selfless service, which is as I mentioned, heart of our dharma. We are guided by the motto of Nar Seva is Narayan Seva, which means service to humanity is service to divinity. So we put this principle into practice through a national initiative called Seva Diwali. So where the spirit of giving is amplified into a powerful force for good. This project unites thousands of volunteers across the nation. So with the volunteers, they are Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs, organizations who fight against the food insecurity in the local communities. We collect canned goods, warm clothing, and share it with food banks as well as shelters, ensuring the light of Diwali reaches to the who need it the most. The result of this effort is really amazing. Last year, there were almost 3,000 volunteers across 200 cities, 38 states. So we collected more than 700,000 pounds of food and donated to the various communities. So in all, there were more than 247 organizations which were involved in collecting these goods, and we donated to almost 266 local pantries and shelters. So these numbers don't just represent our donations. They represent our connections, compassion, and the incredible power of community united in the service. Ultimately, this proclamation serves as a bridge of understanding, testament of our partnership, symbol of our shared aspirations for a peaceful, harmonious, and prosperous Sacramento. Thank you, namaste, and a very happy Diwali to all of you.
Thank you so much. And if we can get you can come up here. We're going to take a group photo. If I can get my council colleagues to join me down there.
You want to go down?
Yeah.
We could also take photos for folks with their phones.
We need the young ones in here too.
Yeah. I can do it. Can we get everyone to just squeeze in? Squeeze.
One, two, three.
Mostly greenish.
Thank you. Yes, of course. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, man. Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you. Nice seeing you.
How are you?
Okay, and then next up, we have another resolution. This one's recognizing Diwali appreciation. As you know, the state of California declared it a holiday, and we got a lot of requests from the community for it to be heard here at council, so we said absolutely. So I'm honored to join my colleagues in celebration of Diwali, also known as Diwali, one of the most important and cherished festivals for millions around the world, including many here in Sacramento. Diwali, meaning a row of lights, symbolizes a victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance, a message that continues to inspire hope, renewal, and unity in communities across our city. So thank you so much, and Councilmember Rain, would you like to say any words?
Yeah, thank you so much. I also am proud to join Vice Mayor Talamantes in recognizing Diwali as well. And so such a beautiful holiday. And then it was also brought to my attention that there are members of the South Asian community from our Sikh community that's also celebrating Bandi Shordi as well. And so just wanted to hold space for both of these holidays, just to talk about the shared powerful themes that they both have in terms of light over darkness, freedom and unity. And I think that these recognitions really reflect the values that we strive to uphold as a city when we talk about inclusivity, when we talk about equity and cultural recognition and belonging. And so thank you so much, Vice Mayor Talamantes, for bringing this forth.
Wonderful. And here to accept the resolution is Natomas Unified School District Trustee Samiti Mehta.
I think we had Mayor Pro Tem Garrett.
No, you beat me to the punch. I failed to recognize when I mentioned civic leaders that we had our local elected trustee in the room, but you cleared up the room here. So
Wonderful.
big round of applause for our school board member,
Trustee
Sumiti
Mehta.
Mehta, trustee.
Thank you. Everybody has talked a lot about Diwali, so I'm not going to go into details about Diwali. And Councilmember Wang was absolutely right. Diwali is celebrated amongst so many cultures and religion, in not just in India, but in Malaysia and Burma as well. And there are a lot of cultures, and Sikh community celebrates as Bandi Chor Divas and Diwali. They light candles at the Sikh temple. Hindus go to their temples, and they have their prayers and pujas as well to do. And we have different things. And I don't know how many of you have seen, Vice Mayor and Vice Mayor had sponsored an event where we were at the Witter Ranch Park. It got featured in Sacramento Bee. So I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful to Sati Ruparai, who couldn't be here, but she's the Vice President of the Sikh community, Sikh heritage as well. So glad that you could do that and have all the communities come together. I will just read what was written in the article in SACP, that we think as Indian family feels close to those traditions, and they want their kids to learn those traditions, and it can only be kept alive if we keep bringing them in our homes and keep celebrating with all of you. With saying that, I also have Diwali diyas for each one of you, so please let me know if I can bring it right now and give it to all of you for keeping it on your tables.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Trustee Mehta. And sorry, guys, we're going to go down there one more time, take a group photo with Trustee Mehta.
Getting our steps.
Maybe give it to the.
I know you want the pink one. Yeah, I know you want the pink one.
Yes, you can put your hands all the way down. Yeah, that's perfect. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yummy. Thank you so much. And then, Kevin, just for this last one, only us go down there and everybody else can stay up here. Okay.
Thank you. Happy Diwali.
Okay, and then the last resolution that we have for today is recognizing Digital Inclusion Week. Thanks to our city department, we have now distributed over 4,000 laptops, 2,400 hotspots, 240 tablets to residents and students. We've delivered digital literacy training to more than 300 residents across Title I schools. We've hosted STEM workshops that have engaged over 800 Sacramento area children and families, and 200 technology kits just in 2024, 2025. And probably the biggest accomplishment from IT department is we received $38.7 million in last mile connectivity project, which is now underway, and that will extend high-speed fiber internet to 2,700 underserved locations, benefiting more than 43,000 residents, 93% of whom live in low-income areas. I think that digital equity is something that was truly highlighted during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we need to make sure that kids can get connected to the internet for homework, for life. Everything that we do is so technology dependent, and our role in government is to make sure that people can get connected at the speed that they need in order to do their homework or to be able to learn. So to present here for the city of Sacramento, we have Navri Hundal from the Valley Vision and Natasha Greer from the city of Sacramento. If you guys can both come to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and Sacramento residents. My name is Natasha Greer, and I'm a program specialist in the city's IT department. Our director, Darren Arcolino, is out of town this week, but he asked me to share a few words on his behalf. First, I want to thank Vice Mayor Talamantes for always being a strong champion for digital equity in our city. You've helped make digital access a cornerstone of equity in Sacramento, and we appreciate that. Digital Inclusion Week is a time to raise awareness and promote action for digital equity solutions. For us, it's also a time to celebrate the progress that we've already made in closing the digital divide. And here in Sacramento, we have a lot to be proud of. Over the past decade, the IT department has led several initiatives to address the digital inequities that exist. I was personally honored to lead the project that brought free Wi-Fi to our parks and distributed thousands of laptops and hotspots to Sacramento residents. We also partnered with local organizations to help families, seniors, and students get connected. For many of us in IT, our work happens behind the scenes, supporting departments that directly serve our community. But these digital equity initiatives remind us that our work has direct and deep human impact. It's incredibly rewarding to see how technology access can change lives, helping a student complete their education, a family apply for jobs, or a senior to stay safe online. This year's Digital Inclusion Week theme is Community-Driven Digital Futures, and I'd like to share a short note from one of the Sacramento State students who received a technology kit from our digital equity event a few months ago. Dear City of Sacramento, thank you for this generous donation that you all have gifted to us. I look around and see the smiles of everyone who received laptops and hotspots, and I just know you made a positive difference in their lives. I, for one, will definitely be using these gifts for a long time. My laptop that I used to have was really slow and overall unreliable, so I'm glad to finally have something reliable that I can use for work and school. I also don't have reliable Wi-Fi whenever I'm outside of school, which can make it a challenge to get all my work done on time. Thanks to the City of Sacramento, I won't have to worry about that anymore. You all have made a huge impact on my life because I will be more productive now than ever. Thank you. That message captures exactly why this work matters. Ensuring that every Sacramentan, no matter their zip code, has the tools to connect, learn, and thrive in our digital world. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Navreet Handal, Project Coordinator at Valley Vision, representing our broadband and digital equity impact area. I would like to say thank you to Vice Mayor Talamantes for bringing forward this resolution and council members for your approval. The city first passed a resolution launching National Digital Inclusion Week in October 2019. Now, 6 years forward, Digital Inclusion Week continues to celebrate the partnerships and commitments essential to delivering digital inclusion programs and resources throughout our community. For Sacramento residents and beyond, these efforts ensure residents have the ability to access basic needs, job opportunities, educational pursuits, and other services improving quality of life. Valley Vision is honored to speak on behalf of our partners and highlight active projects within Sacramento. These include the Capital Region Coalition for Digital Inclusion, which was developed in 2019 through several partnerships, including the City of Sacramento and the Sacramento Public Library, as well as investments from the region's workforce boards. The work of the coalition identified digital skills training and affordable internet access as the priorities for addressing our region's digital divide. Currently, Valley Vision supports 2 digital navigator programs, the Connecting Minorities Pilot Program, led by Sacramento State to serve residents of Lemon Hill, and to date has delivered digital skills training to over 3,000 participants. This also includes the AB 617 Communities Empowerment Initiative, led by the California Emerging Technology Fund, to deliver digital skills training and low-cost internet enrollment support through the CTF call center, which is available to all Sacramento residents in several languages. It is through the strength of our partnerships that we are able to impact our communities for the better. Thank you to City Council for bringing this resolution forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and if I could just get the mayor to come down there with me and we can take a photo.
You guys could all squeeze just a little.
One more for me. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
So we now move to the consent calendar. I have 3 speakers on the consent calendar. Are there any council members that wish to make comments or pull any items? Councilmember Maple?
Quick question on number 6, and then comments on 12, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Brief comments on 26, thank you.
Okay, let's go back to Councilmember Maple on 6 and then 12.
Yeah, and maybe this is a good Brian Pedro question. Sorry to catch you off guard. I was reading through this agreement, and my question is, it states here that this additional $1,414,217 is due to unforeseen facility repair costs, staffing costs, and inflation. So do we expect any of these to continue on past this time, or is this just truly a one-time, we didn't see these expenses coming?
Yes, this is the final closeout of X Street from the contract coming over from SHRA to us.
Okay.
So
at
this is
point, City
the
operates
final
it moving
payout.
forward. Awesome, under your wonderful leadership and very efficient. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then, do you want me to move on to 12? Okay. And then on item 12, I'm really excited. I want to give a shout out to our incredible staff in the Public Works Department and for always thinking big about Sacramento and how we can be even more connected. And then as a representative on SACOG, along with my colleague, Councilmember Jennings here, I'm really excited to see these projects be recommended through the SACOG process, including Envision Broadway in my district, which is in sorely in need of the remainder of the funding here. So I'm hopeful that we can shepherd this through, and just want to thank the staff.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra on item 26.
Thank you very much. I wanted to thank both the Public Works staff and also a shout out here to our council member and vice chair of the Library Authority, Councilmember Maple. I appreciate their due diligence and in doing everything they can to get our beloved Colonial Heights Library back up and running. It's been over a year. The tragic fire in July of 2024 that has left us without a library, and both not only in District 5 but in District 6 as well. And one of the things that the library is more than just books. More visible than not, it's been our vote center, and unfortunately we won't have a vote center in that area. I do want to thank our Oak Park Community Center for being a nearby vote center for those. But just a reminder how much our libraries are such a significant community location, and I do appreciate the fact that both Chair Brewer and Vice Chair Maple of the Library Authority are working to help us get this moving as soon as we can. With that, I know the issue is not controversial, much more procedural, but it's one that's an important one for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 3.
With that, Madam Clerk, I'll go ahead, Mr. Mayor, I'll move consent.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have 3 speakers on consent. The first is Lambert on item 9, then Lynn Lindsay on item 28, and Edith Thacker on item 28.
Number 9, and I hope that the entire rostrum pays attention, because this is very important when you are a business owner and you see suspend competitive bidding. There's been terrible history of whenever you don't have competitive bidding, it could be what's called bid rigging and bid peddling. Now, if you don't understand what those are, that's a very cruel practice, because you can submit a bid that's sealed and they can rig it by opening it up behind the scenes and say, okay, this is the one we're going with, and you never know. So this is a bad precedent. And when I studied the millennials who keep me informed, they told me that, let's look at the report. So I went and looked at the report, and you're not supposed to suspend competitive bidding if it's $250,000. They don't really say how much this is, but if it's with the soccer stadium, that's millions of dollars you're talking about. And it did have a clause for the city that said if you vote 2/3, you can override that. That's a terrible precedent, because as a cheesecake company, I would like to get no bid contracts. Walk into the room and say, okay, you give me the contract, I supply you with this. we sign like that. That's not fair. It's not fair at all. And if it is fair, then start giving us no bid contracts. And I bet you we'll meet the demand.
Give your comments. Lynn, then Edith.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Lynn Lindsay. I come before you tonight as a Natomas resident, a 23-year resident of Westlake, where this proposed project will impact the South Industrial Warehouse project. As you know, the North Natomas Community Plan was first adopted by the City Council in 1994. I have the original plan here. In the late 1990s, the city said, please come and live here. And here is a plan for your quality of life. The plan embodied a new direction, provided a vision, blueprint for future. There have been several updates. However, the principles of growth in the plan have not changed. There is nowhere in the plan that calls for 6 million square feet of warehouses in residential neighborhoods. The North Natomas Community Plan is a refinement of the goals and objectives of the general plan. And I don't see anywhere in the city's general plan where warehouses are being proposed to be built near residential neighborhoods and schools. The city has pivoted Natomas greatly from the plan. However, I don't see any pivots from development plans in the rail yards, R Street Corridor, Aggie Square, Township 9, the Bridge District, Delta Shores. This is just poor planning. How does 6 million square feet of warehouse out your front door equate to quality of life? The key responsibilities of our city council is to prioritize the public good, set values for quality of life, and separate incompatible land uses. Thank you for listening.
Your comments, Edith, on item 28.
Thank you for your time. I'm Edith Thatcher. I am also a neighbor of the Airport South Industrial Project and a member, a volunteer of ECOS. Thank you for planning an information session on this project in November and a vote in December, which gives the community more time to participate and also to read the 911-page document that you're going to be voting on later today. Airport South Industrial is 2.5 miles by 1 mile. This year on that land, tomatoes were harvested, as was hay. I've gone out in that area bird watching several times and seen 40 species of different birds, not just 40 birds, and coyotes. I mean, it was fabulous. And one day, chasing a tractor, I saw 11 Swainson's hawks and nearby a fledgling and an adult. In other words, this is not just a piece of dirt. This is an ecosystem where a lot is going on that's important. ECOS has submitted to you questions. We hope you'll read them and address them on the November 18th meeting. I realize some may be addressed in the 900-page document, but we wanted to get those questions out there. Our concerns center on what will happen to the Natomas Basin Habitat Conservation Plan as a result of this project. We also have questions about the need for more warehouses in this location. Is there possibly another location that would work? And how much of the business that will be in the airport?
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Mayor, I have no more speakers on the consent calendar. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll have plenty of opportunities for ample debate on this topic in the coming weeks. Thank you. With that, do we have a motion and a second? Yes. All those in favor, you saw it? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? 1 absence. Kaplan.
Mayor, we now move to public hearing. Item number 29 is temporary street closure time extensions of 112 alleys, streets.
Distinguished council members. My name is Thomas Adams with the Engineering Service Division, section of the Department of Public Works. The item you have before you is a request for the time extension of 112 temporary street closures for the alleys and the streets that are actively closed. The 112 temporary closures exist within 7 of the 8 council districts and are listed with this report, which has been previously approved to secure these public alleys and streets with security gates and bollards as a means to assist preventing occurrence and reoccurrence of serious criminal activity. To keep and maintain these existing security gates and bollards as part of the temporary closures, an 18-month time extension is being requested at this time. Per California Vehicle Code Section 211.01.4 and Sacramento City Code 12.16, an 18-month time extension for the temporary closure of public streets can be granted with City Council's approval. We ask at this time a time extension request be retroactive approved as of October 9, 2025. Approval of this temporary closure time extension will keep the security gates and bollards in place and still allow the adjacent property owners and residents continued access. The city's public works staff, the police department, fire department, and transportation division all support this time extension and for temporary closures to help deter criminal activity for another additional 18 months. That concludes my presentation. I may answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Questions?
I have no public comment on this item.
Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mayor. I know a lot of these are in District 6, and so with that, I'll go ahead and open and close the public hearing and move the item.
Okay. Motion is second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you. Measure passes 8-0.
We now move to item 30 on the discussion calendar, city attorney recruitment process and next steps.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Jennings.
if I may, I'd like to introduce the item.
Yes.
Tonight, we will hear from our consultant with CPS HR on the process and timeline for the city attorney recruitment. Pam has already met and spoken with the mayor and the full city council. Her presentation tonight will include a recap of those conversations, the candidate profile, the outreach plan, marketing brochure, and timeline. As indicated in the staff report, we had a salary survey completed in connection with this effort, and the recommendation is to leave the salary range for the city attorney as is. I am hopeful that we will have the next city attorney identified by the end of January 2026. I want to take a moment to thank Shelley, Ebony, and Jennifer from our HR department for their guidance and support. It is my pleasure at this opportunity and at this time to present to some and introduce to others, none other than our consultant, Pam Derby.
Hey, where's their walk-up song?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Do you have my PowerPoint? Minty? Great, thank you. So yes, we started this process talking to all of you about 3 weeks ago. Obviously, we were starting this as we were ending the city manager search. But what we have done, we're going to talk about tonight. As we know, I'm very bad at this. Is what engagement we're going to do, what we've done, the recruitment brochure, and the recruitment timeline. So for engagement, we have spoken with each of you individually about what you're looking for in the next city attorney. We are going to deploy an online survey, as we did with the city manager search, that will be open to all members of the public, staff, et cetera. That will run the entirety of the open process for the city attorney search, and then we will gather all of that information so that the council may use it to for your questions of the city attorney candidates, et cetera.
Yes.
With the feedback that we received from all of you, we have created a brochure that I believe was disseminated to you last week. And what we need now is for the city council to give us any input and approve the brochure so that we can go live. We anticipate that to be tomorrow or the first part of next week. So tonight you would approve the brochure. Our recruitment period, it would be active until November 24th, right before the Thanksgiving holiday. The online survey would be active during that entire time period. We would be doing our screening interviews the week of December 1st, and then we have time scheduled on December 9th with the council to talk about the candidate pool. And then we anticipate all selection processes with the council would happen in January of 2026. So at this time, I will take any questions. Obviously, what we're really excited about is hearing any input on the recruitment brochure so that we can get this recruitment live.
One speaker.
I have one speaker on this item. Should we take that now?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Lambert. I think we need to encourage Mr. Davis to sit closer to the front.
The question should be, why would I come here about the city attorney? Well, the one that just left was a wonderful person. Her name was Susanna Wood. Not only did she come to Grant High School, I thought she would have been here today, but she's probably gone to San Jose. But not only did she come to Grant High School, but they were inspired by her because obviously she's a woman, lawyer, and from L.A. A lot of L.A. roots at Grant High School, a lot of L.A. roots. And I just got back in town, and they told me that they were doing a recruitment. So the lady who just came up here, you got a tall task to replace her. She was a person with tremendous integrity. She deserves whatever's going on in San Jose. And somebody in my family told me that when she was here, she used my name when she was talking about Minty Cuppy. And my family showed it to me. And what she said was true, which is you should recognize a person that is at almost every meeting I go to. And I go to a lot of commission meetings. And she was in the chamber during the pandemic. And a person with that kind of integrity should not only be on hiatus, because a lot of people are working remotely that were not in the chamber during pandemic, and a lot of the people who were at home working remotely didn't know how to use this. They must have been baby boomers. But shout out to Susanna Wood and also Minty Cuppy.
Here, here. Okay. Thank you. We have no more public comments.
Correct.
Questions or comments from council members? No, thank you. Just again, thank you to our P&P committee chair for overseeing this, as well as other important executive searches. We're keeping you busy. And most importantly, moving the city forward. And I know we're ably served in the interim by our interim city attorney, and thank you for your work, and we look forward to this process.
I'll move
Thank you.
this item.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And noes or abstentions? 8-0, one absence.
You have Councilmember Pluckybaum and Kaplan absent.
Oh, I didn't see that, yeah.
Where'd he go?
Next item.
The next item is item 31, City-County Partnership Agreement to Address Homeless Crisis Update.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brian Peter, Director, Department of Community Response. Tonight, we are bringing forward the 6-month report, the update for the period of January, from January 2025 to June of 2025. And it is the City-County Partnership update. And I want to start by thanking the county who has come to sit and help us get through this and answer any questions that you may have. All right, so we are almost 3 years into this agreement. And as you can see from the picture, the excitement on our electeds and our executive staff when we were bringing this forward. As we announced the partnership agreement, it has been in my eyes, it has been a successful agreement. The objective of this was to coordinate efforts and resources to address homelessness through increased shelter capacity, enhanced outreach, behavioral health services, and a unified strategy. And also the agreement formalizes the roles and responsibilities to better serve our unhoused individuals. But there were some other things that were in that. So it was to build and scale a countywide coordinated access system. It was to ensure current and new emergency shelter and interim housing, increase our permanent supportive housing, expand prevention and diversion, and invest in community capacity building and training. And we also adopted the LHAP, which ended up being the RCHAP, and then version 2 of the RCHAP. And then to add adequate mental health and substance use services. So there is actually a lot in this agreement that is much more expansive than I think people can appreciate. So in our breakout of this, we've done this for the past 2.5 years anyway. We have broken it out into sections. The first section is outreach. And as you can see by the green dots that we have fulfilled all the requirements in this portion of the agreement. And so this essentially outlines our daily response to our homelessness, what staff is needed, makeup of the staff, where they would be deployed. And this is pretty much our daily response to engage with our homeless community and make connections. And this is something that we do very well. And obviously we have met all the expectations. So for this period, we served 8,718 unique locations. We provided 40,000 services to 2,738 unduplicated individuals. So in a 6-month period, we're essentially making contact with almost all of our unsheltered homelessness in the streets. And I think the uniqueness of this is that the locations, so we're pretty consistent on that 2,700 to 3,000 of out there making contact with individuals, unduplicated individuals. What we saw an increase in is the unique locations. I believe some of this is that since we have had the incident management team in place, the large encampments are now smaller encampments, and so we're going to more locations. And the fact that we had 40,844 services provided, I think that's about 40,000 reasons of argument against people aren't willing to accept services. And so I think that's probably the significant thing to see on this slide is that we are out in the streets every day. And to show you what our staff makeup looks like of this is we have 16 NRCs from DCR that are out in the field. We have a HOPE contract that has 13 outreach specialists. We have a contract with Step Up that is case carrying outreach workers. We have the county behavioral health team, the HEART team, that is out with 12, and then 15 CalAIM workers, which is currently Community Health Works. So that our agreement has, we should have 50 out in the field. We actually have 67 currently. I will say that the Community Health Works CalAIM agreement is ending in October. This was the project that was funded from HIP funding. It's ending in October. I know that the county and the city both have anticipated this, and we have both figured out a way to cover losing Community Health Works CalAIM funded. This last piece on outreach that I want to show is the significant increase in how we are providing our street outreach and getting people into positive exit rates. Part of this is because we have awesome outreach staff that is making connections and getting people the services needed. And I believe part of this increase is because we have more to offer as we expand our shelters and other services that we have available. The comparative data on the right is comparing Sacramento with Los Angeles, San Diego, and the national average. So as you can see in 23, we were performing under the average, and we are now far surpassing other cities in positive exit rates. And when I say positive exit rates, that is essentially getting people off the streets and into either a shelter or getting them back home and someplace off the street. The next category is services. And this essentially is that we still have our core drop-in centers opened. We have our sobering centers, our outpatient treatment, FSPs, and our substance treatment centers. And attached to this is also our behavioral health services that we have. This is the homeless engagement and response team that's out in the field with us. This is the county's HEART team. And over this last 6-month period, their outreach contacts were 1,179. 73% of that is within the city of the outreach that's of the HEART team's outreach. And then 26% is in the greater Sacramento County. And this has significantly changed. Back at the beginning, there was more work and outreach in the county, and this is now obviously meeting the demands of the city's homeless with behavioral health. So one of the things that we changed in the last 6 months is instead of just having our behavioral health in the outreach settings and trying to make those contacts in the outreach settings, we move them into our shelters. Where we have a more stable environment and they can make contact with the individual in a place where they're in a more stable and not worried about surviving on the streets and actually can talk to somebody about their behavioral health concerns. And with this, we are definitely seeing an upward trend in placement from this model. This is the behavioral health assessments. And so what this shows is these are the HEART team making assessments and determining if an individual needs to be referred for behavioral health. And so within the city, we had 391 individuals. And as you can see the breakdown, so it's almost half and half right now. And like I said, we just shifted over to the shelter. But our behavioral health are about half and half from the outreach setting and shelters. And then what I think that is not realized is that we also have the community-based referrals. And so this is someone picking up a phone call to call the county and say, hey, either I need service or my family member needs service. And if that individual is in the city limits, then HEART team also manages that. And so what I would say is that our HEART team, the 12 that we have on our staff, are spread very thin between our outreach, our shelters, and covering these community-based referrals. And that would be an area of my recommendation, if possible, to beef that up. This shows after we do the referrals of getting successful linkages. So from that 391 that were assessed, we ended up with 185 linkages. Again, 71 from our outreach and 65 from our shelters, and then 49 were from the community-based referrals. And if I'm trying to express this from the county's data, and county, if there's anything that you want to add or anything that I'm not providing, please feel free to add in on this. And then the other thing that I wanted to look at is outside of the HEART team itself and looking at other ways that we can have behavioral health referrals. So we have our core centers, we have urgent care clinics, and other referrals that are coming in. So as you can see here, this was 2,225 other referrals from 1,500 individuals. And so you have more referrals than individuals in both cases because some get referred to more than one service. And in this, what you'll notice is that many of them here are from unsheltered. We do have some in our shelters. We have many that were unsheltered, and then some in transitional housing, and some in our bridge program. I don't have data on the linkages on this because this is through a separate system that we don't have visibility on. But if requested, we could get that. And then the last thing I'll show is significance of the increase in our full service partnership. And just to reiterate that FSP, we've talked about FSPs many times. This can be housed, unhoused, or sheltered where you're in an FSP program. It's not synonymous that if you're in an FSP, you're housed with a full service provider. And as you can see by what we have here, most 73% of them are housed, but we also have some in our shelters, 14%. And then we have 9% that are literally homeless, but have a full service provider. And then we have some that have a full service and are unknown where they are currently. And then the other thing to note on this is that our contracted capacity is 3,071, and we are at 2,913. So we are close to capacity on FSPs being served right now. In the shelter and housing, we are also green. Again, this is looking at making sure that we have shelter bed build out and shovel-ready sites. We have integration into our CAS, and then we obviously finalized our affordable housing plan a couple of years ago, and then we are constantly seeking more funding by grants, HAP, ERF, and any other way that we can get funding for this. What I want to show on our shelter and housing is what I think are very impressive numbers. Countywide shelters, currently, we have 2,865 shelter beds. And within the coming year, another 810. That'll give us a total of 3,678 shelter beds. And equally impressive is our affordable housing. So we had 634 in 2023, 1,086 in 2024, and in development right now, we are looking at 2,249. So again, total of 3,969 PSH and affordable housing units.
So are those countywide shelter and affordable? Are those city and unincorporated county combined?
City and county.
Combined.
Combined.
So like for the shelter beds, it's almost half and half, right?
Shelters are...
Don't we have like 1,700, something like that?
Breakdown on this. I have a breakdown on PSH. We don't have a breakdown on shelter.
Punched up like everybody else.
You're the chair. It's one of the many perks.
Yeah, I don't know about that. You can go on.
It
Brad.
is about 50/50.
Yeah,
on this.
ballpark's about 50/50. Yes. Okay, so we're, thank you.
So-
Continue.
We're almost at 7,600 units that we've developed over the last 3 years, 2 years actually, which is an impressive rate that we're building out, despite everybody thinking we're not moving fast enough. And then training and information, this was just mental health first aid training, some public health education, 5150 training. This we've had completed for a couple of years already, and we continue to keep the training current and complete. I wanted to show what all that work has done for us as a county. We had the 29% decrease in overall homelessness in our PIT count for 2024. I think this, I know that this number represents the largest decrease in big cities in California. We had the largest increase, and I don't think that we took enough credit for our work and efforts that we did to decrease our counts. Some of the things that we did to help with this decrease in that 29% drop is that we had our city-county partnership agreement. We built out our CAS system. We expanded our capacity, as you saw. We did a street-to-housing program of 100 units. We built out our RCHAP. We have our permanent supportive housing. We have a homeless management information system. We implemented the IMT. We had the 311 system up and running. We have our full-service partnerships, sobering centers, core wellness centers, weather respites. We identifying metrics and tools to be evaluated. We have substance use disorder beds, inpatient, outpatient, behavioral health, 988, crisis response teams, substance overdose teams. If all of that doesn't make a difference, I don't know what does. And I can tell you that I don't know how it's possible that our system is broken with this many things and the work that we've been doing and the numbers that we are putting on the board. Some of this reading and running up to next week's meeting, I started looking back because we never get a chance to take a breath and look at our accomplishments and what we accomplished. I did go back and I looked at the grand jury report. And that grand jury report in 2022 or 2023, looking back at 2022, it beat us up pretty good on our PIT and comparing us to other cities that have different programs in place at the time. And so if we look at what the trends are in 2022, they were comparing us to Solano County, Riverside County, Orange County, all with decreased PITs in 2022, and comparing that to our increase of 66% in Sacramento. And if we fast forward with all the stuff that we've done and look at 2024, Solano, Riverside, and Orange County. Solano up 56%, Riverside up 27%, Orange County up 37%, and Sacramento decreased 29%. I would say that our system seems to be the system to follow. Some examples of looking back of what we used to see in 2022. That picture was taken October 17th, 2025. This was the infamous Commerce Circle that had over 200 RVs in it. Currently, there are no RVs in it. I know that the naysayers will say, well, we just moved them around. You moved them somewhere else. It's whack-a-mole out there. But here's the piece of that that doesn't make sense. If we have the same number of people on the streets and we move them around, there will still be the same impacts. They'll just be moved in different places. We are seeing less numbers on the street. We are seeing places that aren't repopulated after they've been cleared. And I can tell you with great confidence that our numbers, we have gotten people off the street. And we are continuing to get people off the street. And the real challenge, I think, moving forward is not our structure or our behavioral health or our CAS system. It's going to be the challenge of how we keep the momentum going with our funding getting slimmer. And I really, the number one strategy I really think moving forward is how we sustain our system and keep our motivation and moving momentum on this. Sustainability is where we have to have our mind, and that's where I've been from day one of trying to not put the, as the mayor says, the Cadillac system out there, but put the Honda, Toyota that's going to be dependable and last for the long run. And then the last thing I wanted to show you as I started digging through all of this and sleuthing out what we're spending versus our other cities that are equivalent to us and have a similar pit count to us. And it was an astounding hooray for us that we are spending 51 million, which is, wow, that's a lot of money. But you look at San Diego, that's their budget for homeless was 316 million, and San Jose is 236 million. As you can see in the small numbers there, the percentage of our total budget, because I'm sure people were going to say, well, yeah, but what's that compared to your budget? And then I also looked at what percentage this is of their overall population of the city versus their homeless count, what that percentage is. So for the city of Sacramento, with a pit of 3,053 and a population of 500, a little over 526,000, we're at 0.6% of our population. San Diego has 1,384,000, a little over that. They have a pit of 3,353 unsheltered, and they're at 0.23. And then San Jose has just under 1 million population. Their last pit was 3,959 unsheltered, and that puts them at 0.4%. So the difference from us being at 0.6% and San Jose being at 0.4%, that 0.2% drop, they are outspending us by fivefold. I say credit to us for doing what we've done with the budget that we're working. And I think the other thing to point out here is that we always talk about best practices, what's the best practices, and who are we looking at for the best practices? We are the best practices. And best practices are only created after there is a solution. There hasn't been a solution of how we solve homelessness yet and how we get everybody off the streets. Otherwise, we would look to that city and take their best practices and make them. Right now, we are in the middle of taking those calculated chances of creating the best practices and seeing what is working for us. I would say that we are leading the way. If you look at what we're spending and what we're doing and what our count is, we are by far leading the way on this. It's tough to see this when every meeting you go to, you're getting yelled at that you're not doing enough, and that there's still people in the street. I completely understand that. We'll continue to work hard to build capacity and get more people off the street. But I just want to take this opportunity for us to show that the city-county partnership is working. It has worked. Our system is being built out. We are moving the needle. It may not be fast enough for everybody, but we are certainly heading in the right direction. And I can tell you that every time we are on a phone call, whether it be the West Coast peer-to-peer calls or local cities calling us, they're calling us to find out what we're doing. They're excited that we have a city-county partnership. We've sent our agreement out to another city that has, they're amazed that the city and county talks. I literally heard a city that we were on a phone call with say that we were told not to talk to our county parts, our county counterpart. And so there are cities and counties out there that literally aren't talking to each other. And I'm fortunate that we talk to our county partners every week, and we've been engaged in this, and we're working on it together. And with that, I would like to end on, I'm constantly looking at the glass half full, no matter what anyone says or tries to tell me it's not half full. Available for questions.
Yes, thank you. Plenty of food for thought. Thank you for your effort and for our team, and I'll have some comments in a moment. Councilmember Maple first.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you for bringing forward this item, and it's important for us to be able to constantly assess how we're doing, and also do that in a public way so that the public can see what we're doing as well. And I just want to say thank you. I know the work that you all do is incredibly difficult, and that's our county partners too. And it's really heartening to see such improvement in such numbers. And I think that speaks to the work that's happening every single day in our communities. And I can tell you, you're probably right. If I can search through my email just in the last, couple months, and I'm sure you can find, a couple hundred people who don't think we're doing enough. But I think the data speaks for itself. That we are, and that we're constantly learning and growing and learning from even some of our mistakes that may have happened. And so I just want to say that I think this is a wonderful partnership, and it is something that other cities and counties should be thinking about and modeling after. I've heard that too, by the way, when I'm on the League of Cities Board of Directors, and when I talk to colleagues from across the state, they're asking, what do we do? And especially after the reported decrease, the 29% decrease, that was historic. And so I just want to say thank you, and I know it's really hard to do this work. I just have one quick question around, so there's 2,738 individuals that are unduplicated, and then it says 2,357 housing search/placements. Does that mean people who are placed into housing, or does that mean, what does that mean? And this is on the statistics page of the report, page 4 of the staff report, or page 4 of the
Housing
report.
search/placement. The 2,357 is people that are willing to take the time to sit and talk with us, put their name on that initial interview, get their name on the list to be placed in shelter. And some are placed.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be really helpful for me, maybe for others here, for future reports, to be able to really see what's that number where people are actually ending up in housing. Even if it's not a good one, I think it's important for us to understand that, because when I read something like housing search and placements, it's kind of unclear if that means that people are actually getting placed into housing or not. And I think that's an important metric. It's not every metric. I know that we have, when we say positive outcomes, that can mean a lot of things, and a lot of those things are good. It can mean that you're reconnected with your family. It can mean that you found another place or another situation or another program that's working well for you. So getting placed into housing isn't the only answer for everyone. But I do think it's an important data point for us to be able to see, like, top line when we look at this information, so that I can think to myself, okay, here's how many people we've connected with, and here's how many people actually found housing. So that is my only major comment. And I just want to also say, I know that the public and others hear me often say from this dais, talk about a joint powers authority and the need to coordinate in an even more formal fashion. But I want to be really clear that when I say that, I don't mean that the system that we have is broken. I don't mean that the work that's being done isn't really great. It is, and I don't want to take away from that at all. When I say those things, I mean that we can do even more together. And that is my hope between us, the county, and other jurisdictions within the county. So that's more for the public, the 5 people who may be watching this live stream. But thank you so much for all of your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dickinson.
Thanks, Mayor. And thank you for this report, Brian, and to those who contributed to it. I think it is very valuable. I do have some questions. Actually, I have lots of questions, but you're only going to have to suffer through a few of them this evening, and mostly just for my own better understanding of what you're reporting. So to start with, you talked about the change in where the HEART team is working, moving from off the street into the shelters in various ways. And I'm curious, the inference from that is we don't have the HEART team doing outreach or connection with anybody who's actually still on the street now. Is that a correct inference?
They're still they're still out in the street on, I think it's 1 out of the 3 days that they're in the outreach capacity, and then the other days they're in the shelter. Bless you. So they're in both right now. But we're more in the shelter than we are in the outreach setting.
Okay. So to the extent that they have shifted where they're working, and I'm not critical of that particularly, I see the logic in that, but they were the outreach component in many ways of the teams that were the multidisciplinary teams that were going out to the street, and I'm assuming they were the primary agents of trying to on the street connect people either to shelter or to services, and so if that's correct, then what for the presence they don't have on the street, what if anything is taking that role? Who is taking that role and what's taking that place?
Yeah, so they're still available, and if somebody wants a behavioral health connection, so they're doing their own outreach. If one of our other teams comes upon somebody that wants behavioral health, a connection to behavioral health, then they communicate with each other out in the field and get that HEART team over to that individual. And then as you see in our last 6-month report, we're even at that shift into the shelter, we're still at like 50-50 of outreach contacts and shelter contacts and getting people to engage. I'm not a BH expert, but I can tell you just looking at the numbers is very challenging to get somebody from those 1,000 contacts that they made with in the outreach setting. There was 400 of them that they were able to get to the next step to even get a referral, and then from a referral to actually getting linkage is another half of that. And it's a challenge. It's to keep them engaged and to be able to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak.
And I infer from those numbers you were just talking about that it's a reflection of the number of times you have to have contact with someone in order to get them to be willing to entertain taking those next steps. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
And so my question then remains, what's substituting for that? I mean, it's one thing for a police officer to be out helping to clean up an area, and somebody says, gee, if I could see a psychiatrist, that would be great. And, okay, I'll connect you to these people. I'm dubious that happens very often, that it's more likely somebody who is trained and experienced with the kinds of skills to approach a person and then get them ultimately to say I'd be interested in, or I'd be willing to, or I'd like to. And so I'm wondering if by shifting we're missing, and I understand there's capacity issues here, so I'm mindful of that, but I'm just wondering if we're now simply shifting to a different part of the population, and we may be getting more people because they're in the shelter to be willing to take that next step, but are we missing something still on the street that leaves us with people who get moved but don't get, let's just say, generally speaking, into the system?
Hey, Tim, come on up and
thank you,
give me your magic.
Brian, council member and entire council. I'm Tim Lutz, Director of Health Services for Sacramento County. Great question. So a couple clarifying points. First of all, HEART, the way that we've set HEART up with the city-county partnership is we will deploy based on how DCR would like to utilize our teams. And so that is a constant ongoing, going back to those weekly meetings, an ongoing iterative process about how best to utilize those resources. DCR is providing a lot of linkage and support in the field, as is Hope Cooperative with the city's agreement. So what we've really tried to look at is how do we best utilize HART and get engagement. If you look at the early numbers with the partnership agreement and HART, there was a lot of quantity, but when we look at what the quality is, are we turning those touch points into someone agreeing to be linked to services? And so what we've been trying to find is that right balance of where should HART be, where we're much more able to connect with people, develop the relationship, the trust to then help them into treatment, whether it's an FSP, whether it's a core center substance use treatment program. So that absolutely continues to evolve. We're more than happy to continue to evaluate that based on how DCR would like to deploy the team. But right now, as Brian alluded to with the numbers, we're seeing good outcomes, good conversion of outreach attempts to actually agreeing for the referral and then being linked to services, far better than we were a year ago, a year and a half ago, early on into this endeavor.
I take the point, and it may be completely justified to have made this shift in emphasis under the circumstances. My question goes more to what are we giving up by doing that? We're getting better outcomes because the CART team is, I mean, one would assume, is dealing with people who are more receptive. I mean, they've come into a shelter, they're more receptive to taking the next step and that they may need in many cases. But what have we given up? What have we lost on the street in that process?
Given that we have the Hope and DCR teams, I would surmise that we're not giving up a lot. And I say that because some of the challenges we were seeing with HART is they'd go to an encampment. Again, you alluded to a lot of touch points, 7, 8, 10 touch points to really develop that trust. What was often happening is that halfway through that camp could get swept, and then they lose that person. They don't know where they went. Then they're having to start all over again. So
which speaks to a different issue.
There was a lot of situations where the team was not feeling that they could be as effective in trying to develop that trust and to try and connect people. So the important thing is the teams, particularly with DCR side, Hope, are still going out providing all those other array of resources. We're trying to make sure we're focusing HART where we think we can have the highest impact.
Fair enough, but I mean, I think you've actually indirectly brought up part of the challenge here, that if we end up moving people, that the HART team, for example, has been building some level of relationship with, and they're starting over, or somebody's starting over, then what's the impact of that? And so is that a deficiency in in it's the HART team or others who are interacting with those who are on the street? Is that a deficiency in our programmatic approach that causes us to be less effective if we're losing contact with people and have to then reestablish it? And I don't necessarily, you can respond if you want, you don't need to. I just leave that more as an open question.
I think that is a great question, and one that certainly our teams grapple with a lot.
Yeah, thanks for your comments. And I'll move on from this. And Brian, I wanted to ask, on your page 3 of your statistics, you have a figure of nearly 28,000 for general case management, and then you've got a number of subcategories of other elements. What in that context does general case management mean?
So that is light touch case management. So not spending in-depth case management with that person, like a case manager would spend hours and hours with one individual. It is somewhere between outreach and saying, hi, do you want services, to moving down that continuum and getting some light case management, but not being tied in. Our challenge on this is how much time to spend with an individual and trying to contact as many individuals as we can. And so there are discussions, many discussions about what model is effective. Is it going out and light touch? Is it light case management? Is it heavy case management? Obviously, heavy case management is going to require a lot more people. Light case management is only making contact to try and get some relationship with that. And then the middle road there is to do a little more than just touching with someone, but going into making that contact and getting to that next step. And so that's where we're trying to run all three lanes, because we have our contract with Step Up that is case carrying. We have Hope that is on the making many contacts, and DCR sitting in that middle lane there trying to.
So this is more like contacts than case management, it sounds like.
But it's heavier than, you're spending more time with them. You're spending more time with that individual trying to get what other service that they need, as opposed to just making a single contact, maybe getting their information, putting them in the system. You're going that next step, and not only putting them in the system, but going back to work with them and trying to make those contacts again.
So if we have 5,000 people on the street, on an average, every one of those people has been touched with something you're calling case management 5 times in 6 months.
It's been touched by either, so if I make contact with you today and do case management, the services are not unduplicated. The individuals are unduplicated. So if I come back to you and provide you case management 2 times, and we go out and hit everybody, then there's 5,000 times that we've provided case.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying in that respect, but I suppose it's just a different definition of case management than I'm used to hearing, which is you have somebody who is a case manager who actually helps a person over a period of time connect to the services and resources they need, and helps them on a basis that is not measured in minutes. It's measured at least in months.
Sure.
But this sounds like it's significantly less than that kind of definition of case management.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Then on page 8 of the well, it's the handout we have on the slide about positive exit rates, which certainly are encouraging. I'm just curious, does that represent the 7%, the 17%, the 33%? Does that represent people who exit to shelter of some kind from the street? Does it represent something other than that? And for what period of time?
I don't have data to give you a period of time. Most of it is to shelter. A percentage of it is family reunification, but most of it is shelter. And I do have some other data that is, it's not, it's duplicated, but I'll give you an idea on those numbers. So 4,586 people served, and 927 of them were put into shelter. And then another 578 completed an assessment. So about a third are either going into shelter or taking the time to complete an assessment with us and put their name on the list to go to shelter.
I see. So it's not actually necessarily returning to family or some other sheltered arrangement or going into a shelter. It's partially that, but it's also partially just people who are signing up, saying, yes, I'd like to go into shelter.
This graph is representing people that are actually going into shelter.
Okay. And then that's entry, that's not after 2 months or 6 months or a year, are they still sheltered, correct?
Right.
Okay, and I know how hard it is to track people, but I do think that's one of the elements we have to continue to work on, how we can do that more effectively. Maybe some of it through HMIS, maybe some of it, I don't know, with CalAIM. I don't know what the mechanism might be, but I do think that's what really starts to be meaningful to people. It's meaningful that people come off the street and into shelter in some form or manner. For the public, I think it's even more meaningful to know how many of those people actually progressed in a sheltered existence, whether it's into permanent supportive or permanent housing of some kind, or back to family, whatever that might be. And so, I just hope you will keep that on your list to try to figure out. This isn't just our challenge, obviously. This is a challenge everywhere. But I think that's one of the things that the public attaches to accountability. Accountability is measured in part by what they see. It's also measured by what information they get about success, meaning people who become sheltered and then stay sheltered over time. I was curious, and by the way, for our own part, I mean, to me, this is all part of how we measure success, frankly. I was curious what linkages means in the context that you've used it in the presentation.
I'll give you my version, but that's for Tim to come back up here. So an assessment determined that you need behavioral health, refer you to a service, and actually getting signed up and getting linked with a service provider is my version. And Tim?
Did a great job, Brian. Yeah, and so important to note, we'll make referrals into a service or multiple services for an individual. That's the first step. The second step is when they actually either show up, meet with the provider, engage, and become linked to that provider. So that would be the linkage, the difference between when we refer them to it and they actually engage in services as a linkage.
So linkage means actually not just referral, it means actually
yes.
going and receiving services.
Yes, that would be, for us, the more successful measure is what we want to look at, is how many people are actually linked to services.
So we have a chart in the material that was provided along with the staff report. For example, it says linkages by heart, areas of concentration to behavioral health services program type. It was in all the material we received with the report. The pages aren't numbered, but it was 15. And so it says 195 referrals resulted in a linkage to a service provider within behavioral health services, and then it's got a bar graph on residential outpatient, narcotic treatment program, mental health outpatient, mental health full service partnerships. And so I'm just using that chart as an example. So we don't have on this page how many referrals were made, but my recollection is there were something like 400 referrals.
2 pages before that, it shows 411 referrals.
That's what, and I wasn't quite sure whether these two are connected
that's what
or not.
that's showing, is how many referrals. And important to note that you will have duplication in referrals. So somebody could be referred to an outpatient mental health, like our core center. Someone can also, at the same time, be referred to substance use treatment services. So you can have multiple referrals for an individual. So that number could be duplicate depending on the individual, but yes.
Okay,
The
so-
411 referred, and then the 195 were linked.
So they could be, those are not individuals necessarily, that you could have multiple behavioral health referrals in that 411?
Typically, it would be a behavioral health and like a substance use or other, a different service other than multiple times, unless for some reason within this reporting period, we made multiple referrals to behavioral health for that individual, and they just kept not showing up and never were linked.
Okay, so it's a little hard then to divine exactly how many individuals were actually referred and how many individuals actually
trying to pull up the report.
accepted or received the services.
This report's a little different than ours, but we do have some data in terms of, I'm trying to see if I can find it quickly. When there's a different chart that shows you total services across a few different service lines. So it says Greater Sacramento shelters, community-based referrals, and city partnership. Those we actually did deduplicate, where we had of 320 individuals, 411 referrals were actually resulted from those 320 people. So the deduplicated number is 320 people.
Oh, okay, so this goes back to the 1,612 outreach attempts to individuals who are unhoused, 349 individuals screened for BHS services, 320 individuals referred to county BHS programs. That's what you're referring back to? And then 178 individuals linked to and served by county outpatient programs. So
Seems like every time we come here, we find different ways that you might be helpful to slice this data. Happy to continue to find different ways to highlight it based on what council would like to see.
I think the data's all here. It's just exactly tracking it is not always the easiest process. So, I mean, what I'm trying to ultimately get to is of the people who are on the street, how many have we reached? How many have we gotten into shelter? How many have we gotten to the services that they need or want? And how many people have we not been able to do some or any of all, or all those things with? That's really what, again, I think it helps us make the case that what we're doing is meaningful, cost effective, and ultimately will reduce the number of unhoused people on the street. So you've helped me understand at least some of this, so I appreciate that. I have one more thing I wanted to ask about. Thank you, and I appreciate the indulgence, Mayor. I'm thinking about the partnership agreement, which I think has been very actively and faithfully executed. At least that's what it appears to me. But it makes me also wonder, what are the opportunities to expand or improve the partnership agreement? And the first thing that jumped out at me was coordination and setting goals and direction on prevention. Is prevention something that would be beyond the scope of this in your judgment, or is it a logical next conversation? And I invite anything else that would help us make even a better partnership agreement than we have.
Sure. There is a mention of prevention and diversion in the partnership agreement. It's not that extensive, but then in the RCHAP, we go a little bit further. And then we do have a team that's getting together as we speak to determine a better prevention program or how we want to tweak it to get more people. Currently, most of the prevention comes through a 211 call of getting a hold of somebody. Is there a tie-in to this? Sure, there's always a tie-in. I think you would be surprised at how much coordination we're doing out in the field between the teams. And it's through sharing Teams apps, literally Teams, and communicating with each other, texting or on phone to talk about, hey, I have someone over here that you connected with. So there is and kind of going back to the behavioral health, there is, like, our teams are talking to each other out in the field. It's not one team's over here and one team's over here, and I'll see you at the end of the day. There's a lot of communication that's going on. Yeah, we could look at how to tie that into the outreach, but most of that is trying to catch it before they end up being contacted in the street. So that's where that focus is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a distinct element, and it's before people are on the street, not once they're there. So, but maybe that's a subject in part for next week.
Sure.
So, okay. Thanks, both of you. And Mayor, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Pluckybaugh.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for doing this, Brian. 3 years in, like Councilmember Dickinson, I'm thinking about opportunities for improvement and what we can do to strengthen this agreement and build on the successes that the city and the county have had by working together. Thank you to our county partners for being here tonight. One of the things I'm thinking about, in addition to opportunities for prevention, is what we're doing with our core behavioral health service centers. I think we've met the test in establishing one in the central city, but having one closer to where we are now, more in the core of the core, I think would be worth considering. So as we're moving ahead in developing updates to this, if there's an opportunity to do that. And I also share your concerns about sustainability for this work. An incident command model is useful for an emergency. We are in the third year of this program, probably well beyond what is reasonable or practical for that type of a model. I am concerned about not just the fiscal sustainability, but the actual practical burnout effects that kind of a burden will have on staff. And so thinking about, more operational sustainability in that space. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Talamantes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much, Brian. You do this work day in and day out, and you just keep plugging away. Thank you to your team, Tim and Hezekiah, Yayin. You have a small but mighty little army of employees that do so much for our city, so just appreciate all the work that you do. I think Councilmember Dickinson framed it perfectly, right? The residents of Sacramento don't care about government jurisdictions, they care about results. And it's a lot about storytelling. It's a way of how we frame it. How many people have we reached? How many have accepted services? Also, how many people have denied services, have said, go away, don't talk to me? And then how many people did we house? And then how many people got successful reentry? And so these measurements of success, I think the data is wonderful. So thank you so much to the county team for this data. But we need to make sure that we're able to tell this quickly in storytelling to our community. So I do have a question on outreach, page 2. It says that county mental health workers will deploy 67% of work within city limits. Can you expand on this?
On
67% of the county mental health workers.
So the city-county partnership agreement states that that behavioral health will deploy 67% of the time in the city. And as we saw by the chart, they're actually 73% of their deployment is within the city. So we're exceeding what the partnership agreement is requiring from the county deploying into the city.
And are they deploying to certain areas every single week, every 2 weeks? How often or how frequent is it?
Well, they're in the city with our teams every day. I mean, they're part of the heart team is deployed within the city to some degree, whether in the field, in our shelter, or the community-based referrals. And that's, if there was anything that we could look at, and even Councilmember Dickinson talked about a little bit, is having more behavioral health capacity out there to be able to be in the shelters, be our community-based referrals. That is a heavy lift. And what's not appreciated is on the behavioral health side, where you're doing a heavier, more time-intensive case management, it's a longer period that you're with each individual. And so your time gets eaten up quickly, and workers get, their time is gone on a handful of people that they can manage. So the more BH we can have out there, more clinicians that we can have out in the entire system, obviously the more people that we can get to actually accepting and getting treatment.
Got it. I've seen the county health mobile trailer that goes out. I've seen it underneath the overpass of the 160. How often does that go out on county staff? I think I've seen it twice a month. I'm just curious. There's usually a pretty long line of people, and people do go to it. So I think your team has.
Yeah, it does. And it ebbs and flows. We try and deploy it as much as possible. We've actually recently expanded within our public health teams to include it. There are other street medicine providers across, and we've actually been working on rolling behavioral health into it, recognizing it's focused on health, but a missing component is that behavioral health side. We'd love to have it out every day. It's sometimes just staffing and getting enough resources. I think we have a schedule. I'll see if I can send that over. Happy to share that to show where it's at. We try and coordinate monthly. We meet with the other providers to make sure we're not duplicating where we're going. So we have maximum reach for those street medicine services.
Okay, and you know what? Since you're on the podium right now, I do have a question. I know Cal Matters abridged. I have a lot of media that's been reporting on Care Court and how local governments haven't utilized it enough. What has your experience been at the county level on it? And then if Brian Pedro can fill in for the city side.
Yeah, generally, I think we've done pretty well to implement Care Court. That there's always opportunities for us to look at really referral sources. We being behavioral health is one of the highest referral numbers, which means we're referring our own people, recognizing that they would be appropriate for this program. Family members, not surprising, are really the next highest where we're seeing referrals coming in from care. It's one of the tools in our toolbox. I think the important thing to remember is that what the courts, it is voluntary. And so the individual has to agree to participate. What the court is ordering is us, behavioral health, to engage with them, do the assessments, but not the individual compelling them basically to agree to those services. So it is still a voluntary program, which means it's those barriers of just ensuring that we can get their participation.
Thank you. Brian, do you want to fill in on the city side?
So the city side, initially, I started the program. It was turned over to Fire. Fire's running with it with our city attorney's office. Like Tim was saying, and that is why they're re-looking at Care Court to put a little more teeth into it, is that we can put the applications in. A judge can say, yes, county, you need to look at this individual, and if it's determined that there's a service provided, it's voluntary.
Okay. Mayor, I think I have a request then to make sure that Care Courts and anything associated with that goes underneath DCR, who's working with our in-house population daily, and maybe even do a workshop on it in the future.
Okay.
And then two more questions for Brian. Let's see. Okay. Councilmember Dickinson did the math on the number of touches of 40,000 divided by 2,000 is about 14 touches in order for someone to be able to trust our city staff. Do you guys also keep track of how many people tell us just to go away?
Yes, actually. We started keeping track of this from a county request, actually, where we started tracking what the denials were and how many. And so I will give you a short version. So we have, this is not including, let's see, the first graph's not including our shelter. Okay, so this in engagements with 4,500 people served, Okay, I have two different things here. So let me tell you this. So of 7,500 people engaged and 4,600 people declined with this overall talking to 12,000 people. So 62% engaged. Now, it doesn't mean they're accepting shelter, but they engaged with us, and then 38% said, no, I don't want to talk to you. High level, and I can give you this information more in depth. So shelter acceptance, we had 1,921 in our shelters, 43%. Largest groups, 14% express interest, minus exception. Okay, so this is our barriers of what shelter is. So barriers to accepting shelter is pets, congregate shelter, location, scheduling, and they didn't like the curfew. So those are why people aren't accepting shelter. And then the shelter acceptance status, we had 927 in rapid placement, 578 from our CAS assessment completed, almost 1,000 declined a CAS assessment, and then another 1,900 were the barriers of not accepting shelter. So I can get you this data. It's extensive to show all of the breakdowns of why people didn't accept. The biggest picture that we have on it really is that 62% are accepting services, not necessarily shelter, but they're accepting services of some type, and 38% are declining.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And then two more questions. HMIS, I know the last time we talked about this, a lot of the nonprofit providers were still getting training and putting the number of beds. Is everyone fully trained, and does your team have access to the number of beds daily if one bed becomes open?
Yeah, we have, there's a daily shelter bed report that's sent out. So we have good visibility. And going back to the question of making contact with an individual and having them accept services, getting them in our shelter, how long they're staying in our shelter, we have all of that data. It is a challenge to, without looking at each individual, to see like, hey, we took Joe from the street and he went to a shelter and he stayed in a shelter and he ended up in a program and continued in that program. We have that, but you would have to look at Joe, and you'd have to look at Susie, and you'd have to look at Mary, all individual, because there's so many services available out there. You'd have to look at each one of them individually. But what I can tell you is that our shelters are to capacity, and if we had more, we would fill them up. And there's plenty of people that are still accepting our services and accepting shelter.
Okay. And then my last question is on FSPs. We're now at capacity with 3,071. What's our goal? Do we have a goal, or is that something that we can discuss next week on Tuesday for the county?
And
I
Tim,
think
I'll let
the
you
last time
speak
we
on
did
that.
this, it was
but-
like once we reach 75%, I think
Yeah.
we used percentages last time, and so right now we're using numbers, which I think is great. Thank you so much. But would be curious to see what the county is doing on it.
Yeah, our FSPs continually are flexible based on need. So we're at 95% capacity. That looks bad, but that's by design because this is a much more expensive, high-level placement. We don't want a bunch of idle resources or excess capacity. So if the need continues to expand, we have the people in FSPs, we will put them in FSPs. Additionally, we're in the midst actually of a redesign of our FSP program, and in part tied to work happening with Behavioral Health Services Act, or Prop 1, and also BH Connect, an initiative that we've opted into, where we'll have different levels or categories of FSPs. The highest level, typically what we call FSPs today, and then a medium or lighter level of an FSP, again, based on the person's need and readiness. So we're in the midst of this redesign, but again, we will continue to add capacity if there is need.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, that's all my questions for now. Thank you so much for bringing this report prior to the Tuesday meeting. I think it's good to have a refresher.
Okay, Councilmember Guerra.
Great, thank you, Mayor. First, thank you, Brian, for the report and all of the team here. I do want to thank our county partners who are here today to answer questions and participate. And yeah, I think that first picture that we took when we signed the agreement, no one was smiling, but but at the same time, it was a sobering step forward. And I will say that having gone through that experience, it really showed what can happen when we sit down at the table and dialogue and identify each other's strengths, weaknesses. Also, have honest conversations about our expectations of each other. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, the results on the numbers, are true fact numbers. Now, if I'm a person from the public and a constituent of mine, and they're going to the Crocker and they see the encampments over on 3rd Street, if you're going on the American River Parkway or you're going up Garden Highway to Swami's or something, you see some of those encampments out there and you're frustrated. I think there's still clearly, no question, more work that has to be done and needs to be done. But as the grand jury report discussed, the successes, even within that first year, when it was put together about how we can move forward. And I'll just say, like, for example, when I think back and I was looking at the actual language here, the point about the partnership agreement, and I do want to thank our former city attorney, Susana Alcala Wood, because in those meetings, she was like, you have to be very clear and not fluffy or soft on the language, because if not, no one's going to meet the targets. And I think that was an important piece about the language. And if you look at it, the city and county shall fully integrate all of their emergency shelter beds into a coordinated access system. Before, there was a lot of talk about how we would do this, and everybody has proprietorship, and well, they have their system and we have our system, and rightly so. There's reasons why we had different systems, but the fact of the matter is making a legal document and hard standards of this is what we expect is important. And throughout the entire agreement, as you saw, it showed that we needed to meet those. How many people we were going to hire? Where were we going to hire? As you mentioned it was a calculated risk, or it might have been Tim who mentioned making a calculated risk. That didn't mean we knew the right process. And in fact, some of the processes turned out to be wrong. Like our first approach to go into encampments and focus on a treatment at the encampments was not the best use of our time. I wouldn't say that it wasn't useful, but we found out that it was much more useful to divert to the shelters. And at that point, one of them being the WX shelter, which, it was very inspiring to be at the opening of the Stockton Boulevard Heights. And, the mayor and I were there, and one of the first recipients, and now reunited with their family and grandchildren, was a woman who was homeless underneath the freeway, ended up at the VOA shelter. The coordinated system that had been what we are helped process that person through that, and now they were in permanent housing. And not permanent supportive housing, they were now living on their own with a job and income. And that's exciting to see. And that's a result of a very clear accountability standards in a partnership agreement. I think the points of unduplicated context and the number of unduplicated context shows that we became much more effective versus our team going out there and then the county team going out there. I think the fact that we've been able to manage those limited staff resources have been important. But that agreement also was done at a different time when there were things that, such as care court, weren't even in there. So even one of the requests that I would like, Mayor, is for the staff to look through this and go with our county partnership and identify where we should amend the agreement now so that we don't wait 5 years. We've been able to achieve everything within 2.5 years. And we saw that there was slow progress, but as soon as we started working together, the escalation of that ramp curve went up much faster. And because of that, I think we met that agreement, those standards earlier. I'll point out section H5, First of all, for example, and thank you to Vice Mayor Talamantes for pointing out the focus on care courts. Care courts wasn't even a thought at that time. We were talking about Laura's Law and the ineffectiveness of getting Laura's Law. So we put in there directly how we need to start working and addressing Laura's Law and making sure that we could use outpatient treatment and support for that. So amending those pieces there, and specifically, on the Laura's Law or the care courts piece, we're creating an interesting partnership. The city started on its own as filing for petitions, and now it seems to me that there was some conflict at first with the county, but it seems now that the city and the county are working out a scenario where the city can do a lot of the early legwork, and then the county can take over in that receivership model. So I'd like to see how we amend the partnership that clearly identifies how we will execute in the future the work on CARES Court as it evolves in the legislature as well. And I hope through that process we can also craft clear recommendations to the legislature on how we can improve CARES Courts, because the challenges that we're starting to see now as we are effective in moving people off the streets is that the folks with the most chronic diseases, illnesses, and mental health issues and substance abuse issues, those are the folks that are still that are left behind. And so it's going to be even more challenging with the population that we serve. So that's where I think identifying this receivership component being a critical piece. SB 43, at least as I'm understanding, the county's about 2 years out on that, but we should be prepared in that time frame and having those in our agreement on how we will engage in that aspect of it. If my understanding of the reason why, just a clarification, the fire department is taking this, and maybe clarify this because is that you need a clinician, a licensed clinician, to be able to submit names or recommend names. Is that correct? And so it's our basically medic units that are out there submitting names.
So you need a clinician. When it was in DCR's house, we had a clinician. We were ready to put pen to paper, and because our clinician was a psychiatric nurse practitioner, there is language in the nursing side of it that didn't meet care court piece of it. And so that language is being cleared up, which will allow that. So in that absence, the fire department has actually county clinician that's in their crisis response rig and I believe that they're contracting out with a clinician. But again, like Councilmember Talamantes said, all of that work sits squarely in DCR's lane because we have social workers. We have many of ours that are master's degrees and looking to get their clinical license. And so that is simply just us taking the clinician over and doing the high utilizers out of DCR versus the fire department.
And so this is a good example of those suggested recommendations to the legislature about saying, hey, what would work best for us? So I think if that could be part of how we amend or update Section H5 of the agreement would be an important one. The last piece here that I would say is that as we move through this, I think what's important for next week is we start to identify where, for example, where we can hold each other accountable on the housing numbers. I think, Councilmember Maple has brought up some important questions about how we identify true exits and make sure that we're not repeating or having people fall back into the area. So if we can look at those sections again on the housing piece in the partnership agreement, that would be helpful as well. I know we've made progress now also on the sobering centers, on South Stockton Boulevard, where, WellSpace is looking at some work with their future facility. So maybe that's another place where we can say, okay, where does the city and the county's commitment come into this and updating that agreement. Finally, I'll just say I think the to your point, the agreement works because it allows the staff to understand what we want. It's very clear, and it keeps the politics and the noise out of it. The challenge will be is sustainability, as you said, and I think that an updated and clarified partnership agreement will help us be able to better have that sustainability, because then there isn't any room for there's any room for the fluff. It's here's exactly what we need to accomplish and who has the responsibility. And in my case, it's not the Cadillac version, but it's the Kia version, that 2006 Kia that's still running, Everybody knows it,
Okay.
So I guess that would be my recommendation on that. And all to say is that it's been a journey, but one that, as we learned with our county partners, that as we go through that journey, we learn through the experience. Yes, we will take those calculated risks, but I think when we write things on paper, when we can be very clear and deliberate and hold each other accountable and have some kind of authority to hold each other accountable, it could be a joint powers authority that has access to levers for accountability. Could be a legal document. I think that is the most important piece that have come out of this. And it really hasn't had a lot of fanfare, which is fine. I don't think it needs to. I think what's important is the outcomes that need to occur from it. So all to say is thank you for, again, the update and some, going down memory lane. It really hasn't been that long, but there's a lot of work that's been done that long. And if I could ask you to put that, there's that slide, I think it was, that showed kind of our ramp up real quick. That would be helpful, because I think that showed how when we started working together, there we go. When we started working together, you see how immediately much more effective we were, and we were able to communicate better. And I think that to us, it's, even though the issue is still prevalent, the question becomes how much more are we doing as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. This was actually going to be on the consent calendar. So I'm glad that we did not put on the consent calendar. This is a big deal. And I know this doesn't have all the answers to it, but, voters and the public have been looking for us to better coordinate. Voters stepped up and passed Measure O a few years ago. It wasn't, the perfect path, but the quest was to have us work better together. And this sets the stage next week. As we know, we're having we were saying it's our first meeting in 5 years or so with the city and the county. I believe it's our first meeting ever with the city and county and the other mayors to talk about an issue like this. So I don't know if we're going to get all the answers tonight or next Tuesday, but talking together and working together is half of the battle. And so just want to thank you, and all these numbers that they speak for ourselves. But I often say too much that two things can be true. The math up here looks good, but our eyes don't lie as well. So we drive around and we still see a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done in all of our districts and throughout the city, and right side here at City Hall. So if I could just maybe have you recap and just help us. 3 years in, we're heading in the right direction. What are some of the focus areas where we need to zero in on for improvement? How would you focus us for improvement?
Well, Mayor, all this goes back to capacity. It all goes back to capacity. Our outreach workers are doing great work. Our behavioral health is doing great work. The system is collaborative. It's not perfect, but we are talking to each other. The system's working. If you pick up a phone and call 211, you will connect with somebody. All of that works, but all of that will stay static if we don't have somewhere to place somebody. So we need capacity. Capacity is what's going to keep this, is why you see from 23 to 25, we not only improved the services available, but we improved our capacity, and that's why we're having people get positive exits off the street and into somewhere. When we don't have that available, this is going to sit where we are. We're full of capacity. You see everything that we're building out, everything is full right now. And as we open Anything we open is going to be filled. And that's the only thing that's going to move the needle on this, because we can provide all the behavioral health services and all the help we can. If there's not somewhere to have somebody live, they're still going to be in our streets.
Okay, thank you. We've got our quest. And we're on the same page. I forgot, we had two public speakers an hour ago. I forgot you, but I hope you're still here. And one is, of course,
I have Brian Manning and Keon Bliss. Brian?
Yes, good evening, council members. My name is Brian Manning, and I'm a business owner and property owner over on 1830 15th Street. And actually, it's kind of fortuitous that this agenda item came up. I was going to be here and speak on the non-agenda items, because I wanted to tell a story of what I experienced yesterday with between myself, a gentleman named Javon, and the city services and county services regarding mental health issues. It was about 4:30 p.m. and Javon walked into my building and up the stairs and started talking to one of my employees. And she got a little nervous, and so I went out and talked to Javon, and it was very clear that Javon was having a mental breakdown. And so I asked Javon if he wanted help, and he said, yes, I do. So I took him downstairs, got him some snacks and some water, and called 911. 15 minutes later, as he's sitting in my lobby, nobody ever shows up. So I called them back and said, is anybody coming? And their response was, yes, this is still pending. We don't know when he's going to come. Do you want us to put you in touch with some crisis, mobile crisis? I said, yes, whatever it takes. I just want to get this person help. I got in touch with mobile crisis, WellSpace. They started asking him questions, including whether he was suicidal, and he said yes. And on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the worst, what was he? He said 5. I have 17 seconds left. The long story short is, nobody ever showed up. Javon started to get nervous and he left. And how we cannot hold somebody like Javon, who is clearly mentally unstable, suicidal, there is something wrong with that.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Keon Bliss.
Thank you.
You know, the need for clear and accurate data cannot be overstated. I really appreciate Councilmember Dickinson's probing questions that really looked critically at the information that was presented before us, because based on my analysis, and I study these issues and the city policies on a regular basis, a lot of these charts are deceptive in not tracking some of the basic questions that several of you raised and lack critical context to present this glass half full positivity. There's nothing wrong with keeping a positive attitude, but even positivity can be toxic, especially when it avoids or ignores inconvenient facts or truths presented by reality, such as the fact that we continue to sweep homeless people, but we call it by a different name, such as outreach services. It's rooted in the fear of discomfort, a hallmark trait of white supremacy culture, which continues to run deep within city management's culture. For example, look at the context excluded from that comparative homeless budgets chart that only showed 1 year of homelessness spending. Sacramento is a city population of over 535,000 people, spending $51 million out of a $1.7 billion budget. San Diego has more than 3 times Sacramento's population at 1.4 million and spends $316 million, or 5%, out of its $5.8 billion budget. And San Jose, similar, almost twice Sacramento City's population, spending 4.2% of its $5.5 billion budget. These are just basic information that we should actually be looking at and and actually examining further, because there are already examples that provide actual solutions, rather than spending millions of dollars on code enforcement or having police officers sweep. We could actually be investing in housing first models that actually get to the root causes of homelessness.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers on this item.
Okay, thank you. Next item.
So we now move to council comments, ideas, questions, and AB 123 reports.
Councilmember Dickinson.
Oh, thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to mention a couple things coming up this weekend or soon that are of interest. There's the annual free community harvest festival this Saturday from 11 to 2 at the Robertson Community Center, hosted by the Mutual Assistance Network and a host of others, with games, food, safe trick-or-treating, raffle prizes, and giveaways. I'm sure there'll be music. There's always music. Lots of vendors and food, too. So that is always a good time. Also, on the 28th, Yipsy, I think, is actually the primary sponsor of this, is a Halloween party at the Hagenwood Community Center from 6 to 8, so Tuesday the 28th. So for all of you who make it through the joint meeting on the 28th and you're looking for a little relief, Hagenwood Community Center, 6 p.m., be there or be scared.
Are you going to dress up?
Y'all, I'm always, what is this? This is my costume for the day. This Thursday, the 24th, from 6 to 7:30, Bright Braille is actually presenting Anthem Blue Cross with information and also free dinner, information about health insurance and related topics, also at the Robertson Community Center. For those of you who don't know, it's 3525 Norwood Avenue, and again, that's 6 to 7:30 this Thursday evening. And then Saturday, November 1st, it seems like a long ways off, but it'll be here soon, at the Sacramento Horsemen's Association, which is 3200 Longview Drive, for those of you who have not been there. United Cerebral Palsy Saddle Pals, bubbles at the barn. So there'll be light appetizers, beverages, learn about Saddle Pals, which actually is a terrific program to support those with cerebral palsy, and horses are a great way for those with cerebral palsy to enjoy a little bit of the fun side of life, and very therapeutic as well. And that's from 11 in the morning to 1 p.m. You're invited. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Just wanted to invite everyone to the annual Spooktacular at Tahoe Park. Starting at 4 o'clock. I want to thank the Sacramento Lowrider Commission. We'll be doing a trunk or treat with beautiful artwork of lowriders out there. The parking gets kind of crazy. So thanks to the Sacramento Bike Association for joining us. We've sponsored them at all of our food truck events, but they will also be there to do a free bike valet. So ride your bike over there. This is one where we encourage everyone, including adults, to be in full Halloween spirit. And that's, again, from 4 to 8. We'll have the costume competition, as always, and a photo booth there as well for all of us. And then also on the next day, we hope you wake up, get out of that coffin, and join us at 9:30 in the morning for the annual Elmhurst Neighborhood Association pancake breakfast at the Coloma Community Center. That's from 9:30 to 11:30. Have some delicious pancakes and traditional eggs and sausages out there as well. And then finally, I just wanted to also thank the College Glen Neighborhood Association for an amazing annual neighborhood association meeting. We had all of our folks out there. The mayor was there, county supervisors, flood control trustees, school board members, just about every different agency you can imagine. They're out making sure that they're answering questions for the community. And last but not least, I just want to thank John and Annette Deglow specifically for so many decades of engagement. I think, Councilmember Dickinson was there as a supervisor before. So thank you with that, and thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I think we skipped to you, Mr. Jennings.
I will go now then. I also want you to join us for a spooktacular evening of fun at the Lake Crest Halloween party. We want you to bring your little ghouls and goblins for an amazing evening full of treats, entertainment, and festive surprises. Costumes are highly encouraged. The event will take place. I'm going to be a Raider. I can't find any Raiders that are playing right now, so I'm going to be a Raider. The event is on Friday, October the 24th from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Nugget parking lot located at 1040 Florin Road in the Pocket Greenhaven neighborhood. Also want for all my pickleball players, the fifth annual Halloween Pickleball Bash is going to take place on October the 29th from 4 to 9 p.m. at Garcia Bend Park on Pocket Road. Pickleball in your costumes. We're going to light up the courts with Halloween spirit, prizes for the best costume. We're also going to have wonderful treats to share for the potluck. There will be a coat, raincoat, and sock drive to help those in need. So sign up on Playtime Scheduler for more detail or call my office and tell them you want to make sure you're there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Vang.
Thanks, Mayor. Just wanted to give some quick announcement. First, join us for our last Mediview Certified Farmers Market event for 2025 season. It's going to be the Sunday 9:01 at the Mediview Light Rail Station. It is the last market for 2025, and we will restart it next year again. But SAC-RT is providing free rides to the market operating hours, and don't forget to stop by the market for kids bucks that we actually give to youth under 12, and they get a $5 voucher to use at the farmers market. And then this Saturday is our District 8 movie night in partnership with Champs. Join us at the park that's adjacent to the Pinnell Community Center. We'll be watching Kung Fu Panda 4. This is a free family event, popcorn, inflatable jumpers, kids activities. We'll also have a light dinner provided as well, but you got to RSVP at www.heartandhustle.org/movie night in D8. And then lastly, just want to have folks save the date to join us for our SAC-RT virtual workshop regarding Mediview and a transit-oriented community study. That's taking place Thursday, November 6th from 5:30 to 7 via Zoom. And you can also register by going to our link tree. Those are my updates.
Thank you, Councilmember Maple.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick updates. We are also having a spooky movie night this Friday. Come join us. We are watching The Nightmare Before Christmas at Phoenix Park in partnership with the Rose Family Creative Empowerment Center. You can join us at 7 p.m. at Phoenix Park. It's going to be a lot of fun. You may or may not catch me in a costume, and there's only one way to find out, by joining us. And for those of you who don't know, I am a costume aficionado and have several in our office upstairs if you ever want to borrow one. In years past, I have been a hot dog, and well, as well as many other things. And so come see and find out what I'll be on Friday. And then on Monday, November 3rd at 6 p.m., join me and our Department of Community Response as we host a community meeting about the proposed micro-community in our area. That's going to take place at H.W. Harkness Elementary, located at 2147 54th Avenue. Come join us. Come hear about the model. Share your concerns, questions, and comments. Thank you.
And my turn?
Yep, Vice Mayor Talamontes.
I'm hosting, what's my costume? I don't know yet. I think I'm going to be like Cinderella, Little Mermaid. I don't know, like Disney something. Not sure. Okay, I am hosting a Dia de los Muertos event at Northgate Park, and so I hope people can join me. It's a day to remember loved ones that are no longer on planet Earth, but somewhere else, and you go and you put up a photo of them with food or whatever it is that they like, and it's such a beautiful celebration of life. And so I invite people to come join us, and we will have an altar. So if you want to remember one of your loved ones, give me your photo, and I will make sure to put it in the altar for our council member office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So Mayor, I have 4 speakers for public comment matters not on the agenda. The first is Lambert, Brian Manning, Patrick Bankert, Keon Bliss.
I really don't need an audience behind me because I came to talk to everyone on the rostrum about this. First, I want to send a shout out to City Councilman Dickinson. That was an outstanding town hall meeting he had last week at Hagenwood Park. It reminded me of when City Councilman Alan Wayne Warren was there. He used to have a lot of town hall meetings, and I met a lot of people, not just from Sacramento, but from where we're focused right now, which is in Southern California. So that was outstanding. Then when I got back in town last night, the family and the millennials told me they were concerned about something that you should be concerned about. I was one of the few people that came to the press conference for the new city manager. And as I was there, they gave me this negotiated term sheet. They handed it to everybody. And I believe the city, this rostrum up here, has missed one thing that's valuable that should be brought to your attention. It says no cause termination. Now, the people that are talking, you should pay attention to this. It says no cause termination. That means, and Mr. Jennings, you might want to relay this to her and her lawyer. That means to me that if a group of people at City Hall get together and say, hey, let's terminate her, they can, and they only have to give her 9 months base pay, which means if they do that next year, she will not get her last 2 years. Now, that lawyer for her should send me a check. I don't have time to check on things like this, but that's a crucial thing. I've never heard of a no-cause termination for anyone. Who would want that?
I believe that Brian has left, so Patrick, and following Patrick is Keon Bliss.
Fine evening. Thank you so much for the honor. It's a beautiful evening in Sacramento, but I don't believe it's a beautiful evening. Every day can't be a bowl of cherries, but force of a spring under a mass of zero. So the other day I got off work and I was going to the bank, and I had to go in the grocery store to wash my hands because I'm like, if I don't wash my hands, I could die or be tortured for another 10 years. Because there's been a company, I think there in Texas, been causing me a lot of hurt. And my reason is totally subjective, and I'm sure I'm failing. But I've been trying to find care and concern, and it's been tough. But I do see light. I filed a restraining order to try to find some protection from this company in Texas. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to the good men and women in the military and the police. I do believe that I have friends that care. And thank you to you, Mayor McCarty and Rick Jennings and all of you. Thank you for lending me your spirits of mercy and innovation and lending me your stability and inspiring me with your courage. And I believe we can celebrate because of the suffering that I've endured for the past, and it's not over yet, but and I don't know when it's ever going to be, but I think we can celebrate because I don't think other people will have to suffer the way I have, because we can know what all the story is. And I'm sorry that I don't have more answers. I know my argument's totally subjective, but I'm hoping on the 31st that the judge will accept that. So thank you, Heavenly Father, for our town, and may all the men, women, and children here and in Texas
Thank
be
you for
well,
your
happy, and
comments. Your
blessed.
time is complete. Our final speaker is Keon Bliss.
May some-
Did anybody here notice that in the last year, you've lost among two of your highest ranking black staffers here in the city? The OPSA director, as well as the Inspector General, Dwight A. White. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that is emblematic of the deep-seated racism that it permeates, the white supremacy culture that permeates every level of city management culture here in this city, especially within the Sacramento Police Department. And now when I say that Sac PD is unequivocally racist, it is not hyperbole, but it actually is supported in factual data. For example, we have at least 4 separate studies that have shown that among traffic stops, black motorists are stopped at least 3 times as often as white motorists. And once we're stopped, we are subjected to searches at least 3 times as often. Non-traffic stops are no better, where in 2019 we learned that black people experience non-traffic stops, pedestrian stops, over 6 times as often compared to white residents. And use of force, we are subjected to at least 4 times more than the national average, or 4 times as often as white people, which is twice the national average at the time. We have a continuous problem when we can't even keep a former police chief. We can't even stand up for a former police chief who's just trying to do her job, to hold our police department accountable and ensure that their service outcomes are reflective and are of the values that we're supposed to share as a community. Y'all failed her, not just the police chief leadership, which I know full well has a problem working with black people, which is indicative of the lack of black staffers in the police department and especially among leadership. But what did you all do to defend her? What did you do?
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers this evening. You've concluded the business of the city.
Okay. Thank you. No adjournments in memory?
Correct.
Good. Thank you. With that, we will adjourn.